There are moments when life feels like it's pressing against you, as though every step forward meets resistance, as though the world itself has decided to push you back. Conversations go sour, opportunities slip through your fingers, even simple tasks turn heavy in your hands. In those moments, it's easy to believe reality is punishing you, that the universe has turned its face away. But what if none of that is true? What if reality isn't an enemy, but a mirror, an unblinking, faithful reflection of the state you carry inside? Think of what happens when you stand in front of a mirror first thing in the morning. The glass doesn't negotiate with you. It doesn't lie to spare your feelings, nor does it exaggerate to make you feel worse. It simply shows you what's already there. Life operates with that same neutrality. Every interaction, every coincidence, every repeated pattern is reality reflecting your inner condition without distortion. What feels like the world working against you is often the world showing you yourself. This reflection doesn't arrive as a punishment. It arrives as feedback. When you rehearse a belief long enough, it becomes the signal you broadcast. When you cling to an emotion, it becomes the lens through which you see and select your experiences. Reality responds the only way it can, by returning to you situations, people, and outcomes that match what you're transmitting. If you see rejection everywhere, it may not be because the world is cruel, but because the mirror is reflecting the rejection you expect. If you constantly fear scarcity, you will encounter situations that confirm your fear. The mirror is not biased, it is precise. Imagine standing before a calm lake. Toss a stone into the water and ripples spread across the surface. Those ripples are not judgments, they're consequences. They are the lake reflecting back the energy of what entered it. Your life works the same way. Every thought, every emotion, every expectation is a stone cast into the waters of the quantum mirror. The waves that return to you are evidence of what you've thrown. The question is not, why is the water doing this to me? The question is, what have I placed into it? This perspective is not always comfortable, but it is liberating. Because if reality is reflecting you, then you are not powerless. You are not waiting for life to change its mood. You are being shown exactly where your focus, your beliefs, and your energy are pointed. You are being given the rare chance to see yourself in action, not in theory. The outer world becomes a classroom, a stage, and a mirror all at once. So the next time life feels against you, pause before you resist. Ask yourself what the mirror is trying to show. Look carefully at the reflection. It may not be flattering, but it is faithful, and in its honesty lies your greatest opportunity. The power to change the state you carry, and with it, the image that looks back at you. Reality doesn't sit in judgment of you. It doesn't keep score, handing out rewards for good behavior and punishments for mistakes. Instead, it acts like the most faithful instrument you will ever encounter, a mirror that reflects exactly what you put into it. This is the law of reflection. Life gives you back the tone you send out, not because it's testing you, but because it has no other option. It cannot reflect anything but what you project. Think about walking into a room with perfect acoustics. You speak a word, and the echo returns. The echo doesn't care what you said. It doesn't edit or censor. If you shout anger, the walls give anger back. If you whisper love, they return it in kind. Reality is this echo chamber, responding to every thought, every belief, every expectation with absolute fidelity. When you wonder why the world feels harsh, why doors keep closing, or why you seem to repeat the same cycles, it's not because life is against you. It's because the mirror is showing you the vibrations you've already sent out. The trouble begins when you take the reflection personally. You look at the outcomes in your life and think, this is judgment. I must have failed. I'm being punished. But that isn't how it works. A mirror on your wall doesn't scold you if you walk past it in yesterday's clothes. It simply shows what is. The moment you adjust yourself, the reflection changes instantly. There's no moral delay, no waiting period, no condemnation. It is immediate and neutral. So it is with the quantum mirror of your life. Trying to fight with the reflection is futile. Imagine standing before a mirror and scowling because the face looking back isn't smiling. No matter how long you argue with the glass, nothing changes until you change your own expression. The same principle applies when you battle your circumstances without addressing the inner state that's generating them. You can struggle, resist, and demand, but the reflection will not soften until you do. Resonance makes this law even clearer. Every tuning fork vibrates when struck, and nearby forks tuned to the same frequency will begin to hum in sympathy. Your beliefs and emotions act as tuning forks. Whatever frequency you sustain, the world around you begins to vibrate with. If you carry fear, you notice events and people that resonate with fear. If you carry joy, opportunities that echo that joy emerge. You are not fabricating these outcomes from thin air. You are aligning with them through resonance. The law of reflection is not meant to make you feel trapped. It is meant to show you where your power actually lives. Instead of trying to wrestle the mirror into a new shape, you learn to change the signal you are sending. You shift your focus, adjust your beliefs, and watch as reality recalibrates in response. When you understand this, life stops being a battlefield and becomes a feedback loop. One that is always ready to reflect back the version of yourself you choose to project. Some of the most powerful forces shaping your life are the ones you don't even realize are there. Beliefs buried deep in the subconscious, absorbed in childhood, inherited from family, culture, or past experiences, operate like hidden programs running in the background. You may never consciously choose them, but they still shape the signal you send into the quantum mirror. And because reality reflects with such precision, these invisible beliefs become visible through the circumstances you meet again and again. Think of it like walking around with a script tucked into your pocket. You may forget it's there, but life reads from it faithfully. If the script says you're unworthy of love, the mirror delivers relationships where affection feels conditional or distant. If the script says money is scarce, the mirror presents unexpected bills, missed opportunities, and the feeling that abundance is always just out of reach. If the script says you're not safe to be yourself, you find environments where expression is met with judgment or dismissal. The world isn't inventing these experiences to hurt you. It's showing you the outline of the beliefs you carry so you can finally see them. This is why struggles so often repeat. You think, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I always end up in the same kind of job, the same kind of relationship, the same cycle of disappointment? From the outside, it looks like random bad luck. From the perspective of the mirror, it's a reflection that hasn't yet been understood. The pattern repeats because the underlying belief has not been brought to light. Life is saying, here is what you're transmitting. Do you want to keep projecting this? Imagine a projector casting images on a screen. You can shout at the picture, try to rearrange it by force, or cover parts of the screen, but nothing really changes until you examine the film that's feeding the projector. Your hidden beliefs are that film. The outer world is only the display. Once you change the reel, the images shift immediately. That's the gift inside the frustration. The mirror is honest enough not to let you ignore what's hidden. This doesn't mean you need to hunt down every single subconscious thought. It means you can use your experiences as teachers. When the same struggle shows up for the 5th time, when you feel caught in a loop you can't explain, pause and ask, what belief would I have to be holding for this to make sense? That single question pulls the script out of your pocket and places it in your hands. And once it's visible, you have the power to decide whether to keep carrying it or write a new one. The outer world is not random. It is a mirror so precise it exposes the beliefs you've hidden from yourself. Every repeated challenge is not a curse, but a revelation, an invitation to change the film in the projector and watch the entire story of your life shift in response. Emotions are not private experiences sealed away inside your chest. They are currents of energy, vibrations that ripple outward into the field of life. Every feeling you rehearse, whether it's anger, fear, joy, or excitement, sends a wave through the quantum mirror, and because the mirror amplifies what you project most consistently, your emotional state becomes one of the strongest indicators of what will be reflected back. Consider how quickly emotion colors perception. When you wake in fear, the world looks sharper, harsher. Conversations feel loaded, opportunities seem risky, and even neutral events are interpreted as threats. When you wake in joy, the same world looks bright, welcoming. Conversations feel light, possibilities feel open, and the day seems full of hidden gifts. The external events may not have changed at all. What shifts is the emotional frequency you are tuned to, and the mirror reflects accordingly. Strong emotions carry momentum. Anger repeated often enough becomes a lens through which you interpret every interaction, pulling situations toward you that validate the anger. Fear rehearsed daily trains the mirror to show you more reasons to be afraid. But the same principle applies to excitement and joy. When those states are sustained, the reflection shifts to include more opportunities, more synchronicities, more moments that resonate with the energy you're carrying. The mirror doesn't choose what to favor. It only magnifies what you've chosen to feel most often. This is why neutrality matters. Emotional neutrality isn't numbness, it's steadiness. When you stop clinging to emotions like a drowning sailor clutching driftwood, you discover a calm center that isn't pulled violently by every ripple on the surface. From that place, you can allow emotions to move through you without letting them anchor your identity. Neutrality is the quiet space where you stop telling the mirror, "Show me more of this," and begin letting the reflection reset. Fixation, on the other hand, chains you to repetition. When you fixate on resentment, the mirror obliges by replaying scenarios that keep resentment alive. When you obsess over fear, the reflection arranges itself to justify the obsession. It isn't punishment, it's mechanics. The mirror cannot do anything else but echo what it receives most strongly. This means the most powerful shift you can make is not in manipulating the reflection, but in tending to the state that produces it. Ask yourself, what emotion am I rehearsing? What frequency am I transmitting so consistently that the mirror has no choice but to echo it back? If the answer doesn't match the reality you wish to see, then the invitation is clear. Change the rehearsal. Practice a different emotional tone. When you begin to cultivate joy, gratitude, or calm as your baseline, the mirror shifts. Life doesn't become flawless, but it begins to resonate with the stability you've anchored. The quality of your reflection is not dictated by fate. It is amplified by your emotional practice. What you echo inward becomes the chorus that greets you in the world outside. There are times when life feels like it's pressing against you, when no matter how hard you try, things refuse to move. Doors stay closed, conversations turn tense, opportunities collapse at the last second. It feels like the universe itself has dug in its heels, determined to keep you from moving forward. In those moments, it's easy to believe reality is hostile, that the mirror you're staring into has turned into an adversary. But what looks like life pushing back is rarely the universe working against you. More often, it is your own resistance being reflected back with perfect clarity. Think of trying to push your hand against a glass window. The harder you press, the harder the glass seems to press back. The glass has no agenda. It's simply reflecting the force you're exerting. The same is true of the mirror of life. When you fight against what is, when you clench around fear or struggle, the reflection cannot help but echo that tension. The more resistance you project, the louder the reflection becomes, not as punishment, but as feedback. This is why certain struggles seem to grow the more you battle them. A person who fears rejection and tries desperately to control every interaction will often find themselves rejected more often, not less. Someone who obsesses over scarcity may work harder and harder, only to feel money slipping through their fingers faster. The mirror is not cruel, it is precise. It shows you the energy you are sending, magnified, until you can see it clearly. Resistance is born from internal conflict. One part of you wants growth, but another part is afraid of what growth demands. One part wants love, but another fears vulnerability. One part wants freedom, but another clings to safety. That push and pull becomes the signal you transmit, and the mirror responds by sending you circumstances that feel stuck, blocked, and contradictory. It is not life shutting you out. It is life showing you the split inside yourself. When you understand this, you stop treating resistance as a wall and start seeing it as a teacher. Every moment that feels like the world pushing back is an invitation to ask, what am I resisting within myself? What belief or fear am I wrestling that is now showing up out here? Once you soften the internal grip, the external grip softens too. This is why surrender is often the most powerful move you can make. Not surrender in the sense of giving up, but in the sense of no longer fighting your own reflection. When you release the struggle, the mirror no longer needs to magnify it. Space opens, flow returns. Life feels less like an opponent and more like a partner. So the next time you feel reality pressing hard against you, don't assume it's a sign you're cursed or unlucky. Ask what you are pressing against within yourself. Because the mirror is not resisting you, it is showing you where you have been resisting yourself all along. The mirror of life does not have the power to invent anything on its own. It can only show you what you hand to it. That is why the most profound shift begins not when you wrestle with circumstances, but when you choose the signal you send. The reflection is always downstream from your state, and your state is not fixed. It is shaped by focus, by belief, and by the meaning you assign to what happens. These are the levers that determine which version of reality you will see staring back at you. Focus is the first lever. Whatever you consistently place your attention on grows larger in the mirror. Two people can stand in the same set of circumstances and experience completely different lives. One locks onto everything that is missing, every obstacle, every setback, and the mirror faithfully reflects scarcity and struggle. The other trains their attention on possibilities, on the smallest openings, on evidence of support, and the mirror reflects opportunity after opportunity. Reality didn't change between them. The lens of focus did. You cannot stop thoughts from drifting, but you can decide which ones you water. The more you water gratitude, possibility, and trust, the more the mirror has to display them. Belief is the second lever, and it runs deeper than focus. Belief is the story you tell about what is possible for you. If you believe you are unworthy, the mirror shows you people and experiences that echo that story. If you believe you are capable and deserving, the mirror organizes itself to match that expectation. This is not magical thinking, it is mechanics. Beliefs shape perception, perception guides choices, and choices create conditions. The mirror does not question your beliefs, it reflects them. That is why becoming aware of the stories you carry is so essential. If the reflection is painful, it may be because you are carrying a belief that does not belong to you, one you inherited or absorbed without ever choosing. You can release it. You can write a new story. Meaning is the third lever, and perhaps the most subtle. Events in life are neutral until you assign them meaning. A delay in traffic can mean wasted time, or it can mean unexpected space to breathe. A job loss can mean failure, or it can mean freedom to step into something better. The meaning you choose becomes the vibration you broadcast. The mirror responds not to the event itself, but to the story you attach to it. Change the meaning, and the reflection shifts instantly. This is where empowerment lives. You are not condemned to repeat reflections forever. You are the one choosing what to project. Focus, belief, and meaning are within your control, and every day you have the chance to adjust them. The moment you do, the mirror cannot resist. It must show you a new version of life that matches the signal you've decided to send. As you begin to change the signal you send, life often answers with something that feels confusing. Just when you think you've outgrown an old pattern, it appears again. A familiar frustration, a painful trigger, a situation that looks eerily like the very thing you've been working to release suddenly shows up at your doorstep. It can feel discouraging, as if nothing has shifted at all. But this is not regression. This is the mirror testing your alignment, presenting you with the chance to decide whether you will respond as the old self or as the new one. Think of it like walking toward a threshold. You've been adjusting your focus, changing your beliefs, choosing new meanings, and now the door to a different reality is about to open. Before you cross it fully, life places the old script in front of you one more time, almost as if to ask, "Are you sure you don't want to keep this? Are you ready to prove to yourself that you're finished with this version of the story?" It's not a cosmic trap. It's a mirror giving you the opportunity to stabilize the new identity you've chosen. In those moments, your reaction matters more than the event itself. If you fall into the same behaviors, anger, fear, defensiveness, you reinforce the old vibration and the mirror continues to reflect it. If you pause, breathe, and respond in alignment with the new version of yourself, calm, trusting, clear, you collapse the old possibility and strengthen the new timeline. The circumstances may look identical to the past, but your response writes a different ending. It helps to see these recurrences as simulations rather than setbacks. Just as pilots train in simulators to practice how they will handle turbulence, life offers you simulations of your old patterns so you can prove you now know how to navigate them differently. The test isn't about passing or failing in some moral sense. It's about choosing which self you want to energize. Every choice is a vote. Every response is you casting your ballot for the version of reality you wish to inhabit. What's important to remember is that the intensity of these tests often means you are close to breakthrough, not far from it. The mirror magnifies old patterns just before you step into a new level, because it wants to be sure you no longer carry the resonance of what you are leaving behind. The fact that you're even aware of the pattern, that you recognize it for what it is proof that you've already shifted. Awareness itself is half the victory. So when an old wound reappears or a familiar challenge resurfaces, don't see it as evidence that nothing has changed. See it as your moment of proof. The mirror is asking, will you go back to the reflexes of the old self, or will you stand as the new one you've been cultivating? Your answer determines which reflection you'll see next. There comes a moment when the mirror stops shouting and begins to soften. The turbulence quiets, the resistance eases, and without any grand announcement, you realize something has shifted. The struggles that once felt constant start to lose their edge. The conversations that used to drain you no longer carry the same weight. Even the thoughts that once filled your mind begin to feel foreign, like echoes from a story you no longer believe. What has happened is not magic in the sense of sudden spectacle. It is the quiet adjustment of the mirror to a new inner state. When you change who you are being on the inside, life has no choice but to reflect it. Calmness within becomes calmness without. Gratitude within becomes generosity in the people and opportunities that meet you. A steady trust in yourself becomes circumstances that reinforce that trust. The shift is subtle because it is natural. The mirror doesn't need to make a scene, it simply responds. And because it feels so seamless, you may even miss the fact that the leap has occurred. Think of it like tuning a radio. At first, the signal is full of static, and you strain to hear the melody. But as you adjust the dial, the music comes into clarity. The moment it clicks into place is not dramatic. It's simply the removal of noise. That is what the quiet shift feels like. You don't suddenly feel like a different person. You feel more like yourself than ever. The mirror doesn't reflect a brand new world. It reflects the one that was waiting behind the interference. This is why the arrival rarely looks like fireworks. It looks like mornings where you wake without heaviness. It looks like conversations that flow without effort. It looks like the sudden clarity of decisions that used to paralyze you. It looks like opportunities appearing at just the right time, not because you chased them, but because you finally stood still long enough to let them arrive. Life begins to feel aligned, not forced. That is the hallmark of the shift. The danger at this stage is doubting it because it feels too ordinary. You might expect transformation to feel explosive, to carry unmistakable signs. But the truth is that coherence doesn't roar, it hums. When the mirror matches your inner calm, it no longer needs to fight for your attention. It simply reflects your state back with ease. The very ordinariness of it is the proof. So when you notice yourself no longer triggered, no longer caught in old loops, no longer weighed down by fear, recognize it for what it is. This is the quiet shift in reflection. This is the moment where reality has caught up to the new frequency you've chosen. Nothing flashy, nothing loud, just the unmistakable peace of knowing that the mirror now belongs to the self you decided to become. This understanding doesn't mean you will never face difficulty again. It means you will no longer mistake difficulty for cruelty. When resistance appears, you'll know it is reflecting resistance within. When old patterns surface, you'll know the mirror is asking if you are ready to respond as the new self. When opportunities multiply, you'll know it is your own coherence calling them in. Reality becomes interactive, alive, and personal. Instead of demanding proof, you begin to live as proof. Living consciously in the mirror is an act of trust. It requires you to believe that what you see is not random, that the reflection is precise, and that by changing your inner state, you can shift what shows up in the glass. It asks you to own your focus, to take responsibility for your beliefs, and to become deliberate with the meaning you assign to events. And in doing so, it offers you freedom. Because if life is a mirror, then you are never powerless. You are always participating. You are always shaping. The invitation is to make reflection your ally. Let the mirror guide you instead of frustrate you. If the reflection is harsh, don't despair. Adjust what you are broadcasting and watch the image change. If the reflection is beautiful, let it remind you to keep nurturing the state that called it forth. Reality is not here to trap you. It is here to keep you honest. It is here to make sure that who you are within and who you are without are never far apart. So walk into life as though every moment is a conversation with yourself. Notice the patterns, appreciate the synchronicities, learn from the friction, celebrate the clarity. This is what it means to live through the quantum mirror, to embrace reality not as a judgment, but as guidance, growth, and proof that you are always aligned with the version of yourself you've chosen to be. If you're committed to living your new life, type "activate" in the comments to activate the new frequency of happiness and abundance into your life. Let's all create a better life for ourselves.